Good morning and welcome to Norcal APEX Accelerator's introductory webinar, How to Do Business with the Government. We're joined by some fantastic partners with the San Leandro Chamber of Commerce today. My name is Amanda Anderson. I'm the program coordinator for Norcal APEX Accelerator. And today's presentation will be done by Paul Tavernia, one of our fantastic procurement specialists. But before we get into the content, I would like to pass it over to Emily Grego with the San Leandro Chamber of Commerce to let you know a little bit about their events they have coming up and why you should connect with your local chambers.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting us to be here today. Emily Grego, San Leandro Chamber of Commerce, President and CEO. Really happy to be here. We partnered with APEX on this webinar today because every year the San Leandro Chamber of Commerce celebrates Small Business Week. We have been doing this for several years. And the first week in May, this happens to be the second week because it was a weird week last week. But we host webinars and seminars and workshops for our business community, for our membership, and for our non-members. We partner with the city of San Leandro in producing these webinars, and we are happy to do so. I'm not sure, Amanda, if I move these slides forward or if you move them forward. You do?
I will.
Yeah, go ahead. So all week long, I believe on Monday, we were learning about artificial intelligence. And Tuesday, we just had a real business 101 on what it takes to start a business and kind of some mile markers for when you are in business. When do you kind of start to scale up? It was a really wonderful workshop with the Renaissance Entrepreneur Center. And we also work really closely with our SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center here in the East Bay. And they utilize our office on a monthly basis to meet with business owners. And so we also work them into the schedule for this week. We learned about accounting and QuickBooks yesterday, which, once you start a business, it doesn't seem like the one thing that you want to do, but it's the most important thing that you have to do for your business. So we had a really great workshop with bottom line accounting yesterday. And now today we are learning about how to do business with government. And we do get a lot of questions about that from our businesses. Just, there's city projects that are happening, there's county projects that are happening, and small business owners want to know, how do I get involved? How do I work with them? So we're really happy to partner with APEX and be able to open up this webinar to our own membership and our own business community. So you can move forward. We, our chamber and chambers up in Humboldt and all over California, we are a membership-based organization that focuses on the business community. And we like to consider ourselves as a catalyst, a convener, and a champion for the business community. We work really closely with our public policy makers so that we can help create and shape public policy that is better for the business community. We are also huge champions of just bringing in local visitors to San Leandro, as does other chambers. I want to invite all of you to our Cherry Festival on June 1st. It's a wonderful festival that we have here in San Leandro. Starts off with a great parade, then followed by a whole day of music and vendors and food trucks and just lots of fun stuff. So come visit us on June 1st. You can go ahead and move on. And this is our mission. Our mission is to be the source of advocacy, education, and connections for business in San Leandro, to foster a vibrant, smart, and current business climate. this is what our mission is. This is what we focus on. This is why we do Small Business Week. We want our business owners to be on trend with the latest and greatest of what's happening in business, which is why we had this wonderful presentation on artificial intelligence on Monday. So this is what we focus on, and we're happy to do so. We're always just feel honored to work with our business community. Yes, and so our vision for the organization itself is to evolve the organization so that we can create value for all businesses. Not all businesses are created the same. Some are very micro businesses. Some are very large, and to them, if they've got 50 employees, they're large. We've got other businesses that have 300 employees. So not all the businesses are the same. And our mission for this organization is to continue to evolve and create value for all different businesses that are here in San Leandro. And I hope that all of your chambers, wherever you're located in California, are doing the same. So I'm happy to welcome our chamber members who are listening to this webinar. I want to thank Guadalupe Gonzalez, who is our program member services and program manager here at the chamber, for getting us connected with APEX Norcal. And I want to just invite all of you to follow us on our socials. We are on Instagram, obviously, and LinkedIn and Facebook. And please just go to our website and move around our website and ask any questions, reach out to us. We're here to service all of the businesses. And if you're looking to find out more about San Leandro or the East Bay, please reach out to us. We're happy to hear from you. So thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Paul, for this workshop, and just looking forward to the information you're going to share.
Of course, and I am so glad that we could be a part of your Small Business Week celebration. We always love supporting our local small businesses, and the majority of that support in the beginning is connecting with their chambers and their local resource partners like the Small Business Development Center. So we are always delighted to have chambers and other resource partners join us. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic. So before we hop into the main bulk of the presentation, I do want to just plug Norcal APEX Accelerator as well. So the APEX Accelerators network, my brain just left me. The APEX Accelerator network is a federally mandated system of centers that can help you with government contracting, from your initial registrations to contract compliance after you win your first bid. Your local APEX Accelerator Center can help you with all of it. And this is a nationwide network, and that's why I emphasize your local center, because each center is responsible for a certain number of counties that are surrounding their center. And that's our way of ensuring that you have the opportunity to meet with these counselors in person if you need them, and you're able to truly get the assistance that you need. But what does that assistance really look like with government contracting? So at Norcal APEX Accelerator, we're able to offer our services to the 15 northern coastal California counties that you see on your screen. And we offer our assistance through 3 main pillars. First, our one-on-one counseling, where once you are applied and accepted as a client with our program, you'll be able to meet with one of our fantastic procurement specialists one-on-one via Zoom or in person at our Cal Poly Humboldt office. And during these one-on-one counseling sessions, you can sit down with this knowledgeable procurement expert and go over any hiccups or hurdles you may be experiencing with government contracting. Whether that's a tricky SAM registration, or maybe you want to build out your dynamic small business profile a little bit more to make it more descriptive of what your business does. Or maybe you have a contract in mind. You've been keeping an eye on these agencies and these products and services that you sell, and you want to go after this contract. Your procurement specialist will sit down with you one-on-one and help you through these things. They'll help you fill out the registrations. They'll help you fill out the certification applications. It's a fantastic service offered at absolutely no cost to you. And something else that you get when you sign up as a client with your local APEX Accelerator is access to our custom bid matching program. And this is a fantastic service that our program actually pays for and is able to offer to our clients at absolutely no cost. Again, we will never charge you for any of the services that we provide you. We are a free service resource for you. But our custom bid matching program allows you to sit down with your counselor and define some key words about the kind of contracts that you're looking for. Maybe that's a certain location that you can perform work in, or maybe certain agencies that you really want to target with your products. Or perhaps your product is so niche that your product itself is a key word to get you relevant contracts. So once you define this criteria with your procurement specialist, they enter it into our system, and the software is able to scrape local, state, and federal procurement sites, so where they post all of these opportunities. And based on those keywords, based on that criteria, they will send you opportunities directly to your inbox. So you'll be getting government contracting opportunities, if not daily, weekly, depending on the criteria that you set down and how restrictive it is. And that can take so much time and work and honestly challenge out of government contracting, because you can get the certifications, you can get the registrations, but if you can't find the right opportunities, you're not going to find much success. And that's really where this custom bid matching shines. But for our third pillar, and my personal favorite, our resources and trainings are another great way to connect with a Norcal APEX Accelerator, even if you're not within our service area and can't become a client with us. We host a ton of webinars as well as in-person trainings throughout our Northern California service area throughout the entire year. And we change up the topics from introductory webinars just like this one to maybe you're looking for a webinar about capability statements and really want to go in depth to how to build out your capability statement. Or maybe you're looking to work with NASA or the Office of the Department of General Services. We host and often partner with those agencies to present webinars about how to effectively do business with them. And on top of that, all of our webinar recordings, as well as many other resource links, live on our website and are fully accessible no matter where you are in the US or in the world for that matter. So if anything, please do connect with our website, check out our recordings, even if it is just to get a bit more knowledge under your belt. But if you are interested in one-on-one counseling or possibly that custom bid matching, definitely find your local APEX Accelerator, even if it's not us. Remember, we are a nationwide network. So connect with your local APEX Accelerator at these links below. And again, you'll get the slides with the links. And you'll be able to take advantage of no-cost government contracting assistance. So with that, I will go ahead and pass it off to Paul.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, as Amanda mentioned, we are part of a nationwide network of APEX Accelerators. There's about 100 of us around the country. We receive funding primarily from the Department of Defense Office of Small Business Programs, but also here in California, we get funding from the Governor's Office of Economic and Business Development as well. So as Amanda said, we cover the coastal counties in the Bay Area, but we're just one of 6 APEX Accelerators here in California. So there's one in Sacramento that covers the Northeast Corridor, one in Salinas, covering most of the Central Valley. There's one in Bakersfield. Then you have LA, Orange County, and San Diego as well. So the net message is, no matter where you are in California, or for that matter, anywhere in the country, there's an APEX Accelerator that's responsible for your geography that you can reach out to and become a client and kind of help you know, a lot of what we do is help demystify, if you will, this government contracting stuff. All right. So with today's session, it's going to be kind of an overview about things to be thinking about when you are considering whether or not contracting in the public sector is something that you want to pursue as a business owner or as a business participant or whatnot. So here's the agenda of what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about, you know, what government contracting is all about. And so you can kind of get start wrapping your head around what's involved. But along those lines, you know, how do you determine what are some of the tools and available to determine if selling to the government is right for you, if the government buys what it is you sell, and how do they buy what it is you sell. We'll talk about how to get started, and Amanda mentioned getting registered and the follow-on certifications. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about marketing hints and tips, as well as doing some data mining to figure out where those targeted agencies might be, whether it's city, county, federal, state. How to find bid opportunities, where are they published, and well, as well as, you know, talking about some of the things that can help put you in better position, if you will, for success in the public sector, let's say vis-a-vis your competition, if you will. So, you know, we've got a little bit of a disclosure. This is the best of what I know at this point in time. So, you know, things are subject to change, but at least I'll give you the most up to date in terms of what I know. So next slide, please. So let's talk about government contracting. Encompasses a lot of different areas, right? And in the federal arena, in any given year, the federal government has somewhere, excuse me, well north of $500 billion in discretionary spending. So anywhere from $500 to $700 billion of discretionary spending, non-defense. And the defense spending is probably an equal amount, and we'll talk about that. So, but in that discretionary spending, and the pictures on this slide kind of indicate, the federal government pretty much buys everything from everybody. You know, they're the largest of a purchaser of goods and services in the world, right? So whether it's construction, as you can see in the upper left, and all the different agencies, both defense and non-defense, certainly construction is a huge part of what the federal government does. Janitorial services, for sure, because there are lots and lots of federal buildings and military installations and whatnot that all have upkeep and maintenance, operations responsibilities and requirements. So that's a key area. Firefighting, emergency response, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires, another large part of what the federal government gets involved with as well. And then, you know, office supplies, certainly, you know, that's kind of nuts and bolts, commodities for sure. The federal government is a huge consumer of those kinds of things. Food, you can see a couple of pictures with food, deliverables of packaging and logistics, trying to get things from point A to point B, you know, from a federal government standpoint, whether it's military, non-military, logistics, transportation, huge requirement. That middle one, you know, showing dog treats and leashes and whatnot. Things like canine for law enforcement is part of what requirement. We talked about food services, whether it's some of the base exchanges, the military bases, as well as some of the other federal support programs for food. Think the SNAP program as an example, that sort of thing. And then that lower right one with showing the goats, that kind of shows that, you know, you've got a weed abatement problem. Maybe having a herd of goats go and chomp weeds in an open field for kind of fire prevention, if you will, fuels management, might be cheaper than hiring somebody to go and do it on a regular basis. So that's just kind of a lighthearted look at some of the things that the federal government buys. But the net message is the government buys pretty much everything you sell, or anything you sell. And I just want to make one more comment about that is, according to statute, 23% of the discretionary spending in the federal government is supposed to go to small businesses. Okay, so in any given year, that's probably somewhere of a 130 to 150 billion dollar opportunity for small businesses. So if you think about, why would I think about doing business with the government? Well, there's a lot of money to be made. But as we'll talk about, it takes tenacity, it takes focus, and we'll give you some insight into what that's all about. Okay, next slide. So kind of doing some level setting here in terms of common industries with federal government contracting, or even city, state, local contracting as well. Public works is huge. Here in California, lots of bridges and freeways and that sort of thing, but lots of federal highways as well. And along with those public works, there's architectural engineering services that are required, design, as well as the construction aspects of it. So probably one of the bigger industrial components, if you will, in terms of federal contracting, that probably most people are most aware of, because it gets a lot of visibility. Certainly professional services, management consulting, that sort of thing, as well as other support, administrative support services, those kind of support type functions are also a big part. And it's not, and these are just, I don't want to couch this as saying this is only applicable to the federal space, because really it's applicable across the board in the public sector. Office supplies, certainly we talked about that, janitorial, but these are kind of the most common industries where you're going to see opportunities across the board. IT, huge. There always a requirement for break fix technology on the hardware side, software development, research and development, that sort of thing. This whole explosion into AI, as was mentioned earlier, is really emerging at a pretty rapid rate. As you can imagine, I've got a number of clients located primarily in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley, in the information technology space, both in terms of software development, but also some of these emerging technologies as well. And we're having conversations about, how do I get started? How do I position myself maybe to go after some information technology type of opportunities with for instance, the state of California, as well as the federal government. Medical supplies and technology, we saw a huge demand for that during the pandemic, whether it was the Veterans Administration for all their hospitals and medical facilities, or the Department of Health and Human Services on a federal level. Certainly in the state of California, huge requirement for PPE during the pandemic and that sort of thing. So, and those requirements don't go away. They're always there on an ongoing basis. But what we really saw was in an event like the pandemic, that there was a hyper focus on PPE and medical supplies, and being able to get those to the folks that needed them in very short order. As I mentioned before, transportation logistics, moving things from point A to point B, always going to be a requirement across the board. Fire suppression, but even in a larger context, I call it, just federal declared disasters, state declared disaster support. So it's not just fire, it's, floods and hurricanes and tornadoes and all those kind of support services when there's an a declared disaster. And then certainly the big dog on the block is the Department of Defense. You know, an annual budget, you know, what is it? Over $700 billion this year, I think, something like that. And so there's always requirements, not only with these subset, you know, things, but also specific requirements that are Department of Defense specific as well. So here in California, we've got a number of DoD installations and whatnot that all have the same kind of requirements that we've been talking about. So there's opportunity certainly within the Department of Defense as well. Less common industries you can see there, as you know, or you may well know, cannabis is still illegal from a federal standpoint, even though it's been legalized here in California at a federal level. It's still considered illegal. So you know, you're not gonna find contracting opportunities that are cannabis related that are going to be federally focused or federally funded. And in fact, because we are funded in part by the DoD and we receive federal funds, we can't even provide support services that are cannabis related. Okay, so don't ask us because we can't do it. It's against our charter. There you can see if you're in the hospitality business, certainly there may be one-off time to time where a government agency, federal, state, city, county will have a need for, you know, restaurant, entertainment, those kind of services. But that's not something you're going to see on a regular basis from a public sector entity. So you kind of pick and choose your opportunities in that space. Well-being and holistic health, probably not mainstream, so going to be on a less common from a requirement standpoint. Clothing and luxury items, again, you know, maybe from time to time. Clothing retailers, maybe not so much, but certainly military uniforms and you know, those kind of things, maybe some PPE type garments and that sort of thing could be required by some of the federal agencies or state agencies, that sort of thing. So, but this is just kind of a, excuse me, a level set to kind of give you an idea of where we see the majority of the activity. Okay, next slide, please. So kind of bringing it down another level. Here's a state of California example. Pelican Bay State Prison, located up north from where I am here in Sacramento. You can see, look at the laundry list of what they need. It's huge, right? And the message here is you can look through this list and see, okay, which areas do I play in? But this is just an example that's probably pretty much reflective of all the other correction institutions here in the state, whether they be federal prisons, state prisons, whatever the case may be. They are going to need these kinds of things, whether it's, you know, services from personnel, whether it's commodities, you know, and everything in between. So this you know, this is kind of an eye chart. It's pretty all inclusive, but I wanted to put this here just to give you an idea that, you know, you think, okay, Pelican Bay, way up north, what do they need? Well, here's what they need. They need a lot of things. And so all of the correction facilities, and there's a boatload of them throughout California, are going to need these same kind of support services and products and whatnot. Okay. So next slide, please. So this is the kind of the introspection, the questions you ought to be asking yourself on the front end in terms of, is my business ready for government contracting? Okay. And what we're looking at here is kind of the bulleted points in terms of what should be in place if you're serious about it on the front end these are the types of things that you want to have in place, or the work that you want to perform on the front end as you kind of try to get to a decision point, go, no go, as it relates to government contracting. So typically, I will say typically, government contracting is not for startups in terms of trying to break into the space. Okay. But the Small Business Development Center network, which also receives federal funding, in this case, the SBDCs receive funding from the Small Business Administration, as well as the governor's office here in California. The SBDC network, their charter is helping small businesses, helping startups to get established, putting together your business plan. And if government public sector contracting is part of your plan, then you want to make sure that it's absolutely included in your business plan, right? Because the business plan is your roadmap on how you're going to get your business from point A to point B. Whether it's a startup or whether you're already in business looking to engage in new markets, that sort of thing. So the SBDC network, nationwide, there are some 45 SBDCs in California alone. Okay. And Emily referred to the East Bay SBDC as one of, I think is that in Hayward, I believe, right? But they're one of 16 SBDCs here in the NorCal geography. Okay, which is basically from, San Joaquin County all the way up to the Oregon border, right? So the point is, there's this, no matter where you are, whether it's in Northern California or anywhere in the country, there's going to be a small business development center located near you. And they're going to help you with the business planning aspects. They can help you with developing your marketing plan. They can help you with access to capital, because a lot of how the SBA measures the small business development centers is through access to capital. What are the SBDCs doing in order to facilitate small businesses either getting access to small business loans or maybe lines of credit, that for working capital, that kind of thing. So, the great thing about all these resources is they're all complementary. So you can take advantage of any and all of them. So they're not mutually exclusive, if you will. So I encourage most of my clients, outside of the bounds of just the focusing on the public sector contracting thing, is reach out to your local SBDC, because there will be times when you need to tweak your business plan, or you need to develop a marketing plan, let's say for an e-commerce presence, or maybe you're looking for an expansion. It's like, well, I've got to increase my my line of credit access, or maybe it's time for me to buy some commercial real estate and establish a brick and mortar presence, but I want to own the building, that sort of thing. So I always tell all my clients that the SBDC network is another great complementary resource. We're all part of the same. Here in Northern California, we're all part of the Sponsored Programs Foundation out of Cal Poly Humboldt. We all play in the same sandbox together. So it's great resources available to you. Again, at no charge. I like to say they're prepaid with your tax dollars. So they're not necessarily free, but they're just prepaid, right? You want to make sure that you've got sufficient financial stability if you're looking to get into the public sector, because typically there's going to be a time lag between the time you start executing on a contract, let's say you win a bid, and the time you're going to win your first progress payment. And so you've got to be able to cover that float, because you're going to be incurring expenses, whether it's acquiring products that in turn you're going to resell to a public sector entity, or maybe you've got personnel expenses, providing some upfront services on the front end before you get a progress payment. So financial stability is absolutely key. Sufficient capitalization is absolutely key. I spent 15 years at the FBA district office here in Sacramento, talking to small businesses day in and day out about federal contracting. And a lot of the conversations I had was, you've got to make sure you've got what I used to call critical mass financially in order to execute in the federal space. But it's applicable for state and local contracting as well. So having sufficient financial resources, absolutely key. Past performance, or as in parentheses, you could say a history of sales, is going to be a key thing for determining or help affecting your success as well. Because a federal contracting agency, or any kind of a public sector agency, if they're looking to award a contract, a lot of times they're going to say, well, but one of the requirements is you've got to have past performance of contracts of a similar nature and scope, right? And if you don't have it, you're not going to be considered, right? So it's kind of a catch-22. How do you get your past performance without a contract and that sort of thing? And we'll talk about starting small and working your way up, scaling up and that sort of thing. So, but having a successful past performance record is absolutely key. And it's really part of your marketing efforts, right? And speaking of marketing, the next bullet on market research, doing the upfront data mining, if you will, to figure out which federal agencies or state agencies buy what it is you sell. So all of these databases are all in the public domain. So whether it's in the federal arena, the Federal Procurement Data Systems, FPDS.gov, is the big database in the sky with all federal contracting activity. You can use that as a tool, and we here at APEX Accelerator can help you understand how to use that and actually help you with that marketing research. In today's environment, depending upon what it is you sell, establishing an e-commerce capability could be absolutely key to your success as well. So next slide, please. So how to get started? Certainly, signing up as a client with the APEX Accelerator is number one. If public sector contracting, if you've kind of gone through the assessment that we just talked about, and you say, yep, I want to go after it, certainly engage and become a client with your local APEX Accelerator. As part of that, we're going to help you with your certifications and your registrations. You're going to want to know what your North American Industry Classification System and NAICS codes are. That's used in the federal space. The United Nations Standard Products and Service Codes, those are used by the state of California. All right. So you can go and you can Google it and find out which codes are applicable to what it is to your specific business. For registering with the state of California, the portal is Cali Procure, caliprocure.gov. And we can help you walk through that process, help you answer those questions, and then helping you understand which documentation you're going to need to upload to the Department of General Services portal to verify your small business eligibility. For the federal space, any business, small, medium, or large, that wants to do business with the feds has to register in the System for Award Management, or SAM, and the portal is sam.gov. And we also can help you with that process. We can sit down real time, go through it to get you to the point where you get your unique entity identifier and your cage code. And once you've got that, then you're good to go to do business with the federal government. A subset of that, or a part of that, is the Dynamic Small Business Search. That is SBA's database of small businesses. So SBA and SAM.gov, they talk back and forth. The Small Business Administration extracts data from your SAM.gov registration and imports that into the SBA database, the DSPS. And the key things to make sure you have in your DSPS profile, your SBA profile, are the capabilities narrative, which is a couple, 3 sentences describing what it is you do, your keywords, because a lot of times Government contracting folks will search by keywords to find out which small businesses are out there, as well as your past performance information as well. Creating a capability statement is absolutely critical in the public sector arena, and we'll talk a little bit more about what's involved with the capability statement here in a few slides. Developing a government-friendly web presence, certainly is absolutely critical, because when a government entity is vetting you, they're gonna go to your website and they're gonna check you out there. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then identifying your target agencies, and we hit a little bit about that under market research, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Next slide. See how we're doing on time. Ooh, we're moving right along. So let's talk a little bit about certifications. With the state of California, they are race and gender neutral. So the only two certifications with the state are small business or disabled veteran business enterprise. However, within the small business certification, there also is a subset, if you will, the small business for public works. So if what it is you do is in the public works arena, you're going to want to make sure that you apply for the SBPW certification as well. The great thing is the Cali Procure portal, you can do all of these in one sitting. It's not like you have to do 3 separate applications. So, but that's why we're here. We're here to help you through that. There are, well, I'm just going to mention this briefly. I don't think I've got it anywhere else. Within the state, though, the California Public Utilities Commission, the CPUC, does have a pretty strong supplier diversity program where you can go and you can get registered as a minority-owned business or a women-owned business with the CPUC as well. So there they do take race and gender into consideration, but that's kind of a subset, and we're not going to really dwell on that today. With the federal arena, small business and small disadvantaged business are self-certifications. Small disadvantaged business relates to those businesses that are owned and controlled by folks that are both socially and economically disadvantaged. Think minority owned, okay? The more formal certifications are women-owned small business and economically disadvantaged women-owned small business, EDWSB, and these are all handled through the SBA. So the SBA has the mandate to review and approve WSB applications. Veteran-owned small business and service-disabled veteran-owned small business also handled now by the SBA as of January of 2023. If you are a veteran-owned business or a service-disabled veteran-owned business, looking to do business in the federal arena, the VA ought to be at the top of your list, because veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran are at the top of the food chain, if you will, for small business contracting with the VA. Again, through the SBA Vet Cert portal to get certified. Historically underutilized business zone, hub zones, based on census tract data, where that particular census tract is experiencing higher than normal per capita unemployment or lower than normal per capita net income, designated a hub zone. And so there are provisions for hub zone set-aside contracting opportunities, where only those businesses that are hub zone certified would be able to bid on that particular requirement. Just briefly, the 2 main criteria for hub zone certification are the principal office of the business has to be located in the hub zone, and at least 35% of the employees have to live in a hub zone. Doesn't have to necessarily be the same hub zone as the principal office. And as here in Northern California, it's pretty rural. So we have entire counties that are considered hub zones. Think Trinity, Siskiyou, Modoc, Lassen, and to a large part, Glenn, Colusa, Butte counties are all hub zone, right? So if you happen to live in one of those counties, you're probably in a hub zone, depending upon, where you're located, your employees are located. If they live in that same county, then you would probably be hub zone eligible. The 8A Business Development Program, it's a 9-year program. Again, for those businesses that are socially and economically disadvantaged. Think again, the primarily minority owned. And it's like I said, it's a 9-year program, so it's a finite start and end date. Certainly, if you want to know more about that, we can help you drill down on that. But that's just another federal. And it truly is a business development program as opposed to a contracting program. And then that last one, DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, that's also a federal certification through the Department of Transportation, but it's administered on a state-by-state basis. So the DBE certification here in California is handled through Caltrans, right? Makes sense. Department of Transportation. And the reason it's important is whenever there is a federal project that has, like for instance, a public works project, where there are federal funds involved, think interstate highways or bridges and that sort of thing, then there will be a specified DBE component, where as part of the contract, they will say, you must have 8 or 10% DBE participation. So the large prime contractors will reach out to DBE firms to help fulfill that DBE subcontracting goal. Next slide, please. So how do you get started? Well, I will tell you a lot of what my advice to folks that are looking to break into the public sector arena is start smaller and work your way up the food chain. So city, county, opportunities, school districts, transportation agencies, those kind of things, right? And it involves registering locally. Most large cities and counties will have their own procurement department, and they'll have a portal for you to go to register as a small business to get on their vendor list. And by doing that, then they can push down bidding opportunities as they surface, right? So, but it's a great way with, I'll say, substantially reduced risk of getting your feet wet, if you will, in public sector contracting and getting that past performance that we talked about as being critical when agencies are evaluating alternatives, right? Alternative contractors. So, as I mentioned, most agencies have their own procurement systems. You're going to want to know what it is so you can figure out which industry codes to input. So a lot of, planted bids, some cities and counties use planted bids, others use a system called public purchase. So depending upon who you want to register with, you want to find out what their system is so you get the right industry code so they can find you with opportunities. You want to find out whether or not there are some local business initiatives like the LBE in San Francisco, where they have a preference for local businesses that are located there in the city. Same thing with Alameda. I think San Jose and Oakland may have the same types of requirements, but you may not be excluded. It just means that they may have more of an affinity or a preference for those businesses that are located, within their city boundaries, that kind of thing. But most cities and counties don't have those kind of, I'll say, more restrictive requirements. So, reach out to your local cities, counties. Certainly there in the Bay Area, a lot of my clients are there, and I say, you can do business anywhere in the Bay Area. So San Francisco, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Alameda, Contra Costa, Solana County, register with all of them, register with the big cities as well. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you anything but some time. Don't pay anybody to do it. You can do it yourself. It just takes a little bit of time. Okay. So start small and work your way up. Next slide, please. Typically, breaking into the public sector space will be as a subcontractor. Okay, this is kind of your typical hierarchy, and nothing wrong with being a subcontractor, because number one, you can build your past performance, but number two, you're not taking on the risk that a prime contractor takes on, right? So if you're just getting started and whatnot, risk mitigation is part of your business plan probably. So look for subcontract opportunities, and through the solicitations that are published and whatnot, you can find out, all right, who are the prime contractors, and reach out to them. Say, hey, listen, I'm interested in maybe, let's see if we can't forge some sort of a relationship going forward, that kind of thing. Okay. Next slide, please. We talked a bit about the capability statement, right? And it's really unique in the public sector space. And it's a 1-page, 8.5 by 11. And in the upper left-hand corner, you can kind of see a little bit about our template that we have that we can make available to our clients to help that process, kickstart that process of developing a capability statement. And I'll let you read through the bulleted points of what it should contain. Okay. But the thing about the capability statement is when you start developing your marketing campaigns, if you will, or your electronic Rolodex on who you're going to reach out to. Well, you're going to send out an electronic marketing email. And in that email, you're going to embed your capability statement right into the body of the email as you reach out to these public sector individuals and agencies and procurement people, right? So it's going to have all these components, but key thing to keep in mind is the way I position it is the person on the other end of that email is going to be busy. They're busy, right? So when they open up that email, your marketing email, and you've got your capability statement, figure you've got about 20 to 30 seconds of mind share, right? So you want to structure your capability statement such that in a half a minute or less, that individual on the other end of the email is going to be able to, okay, I know who they are, I know how to get a hold of them, and I know exactly what they do. I know who they've done business with in the past. I know their certifications, their industry codes. If they're construction, I know what their bonding capacity is, that sort of thing, and in 30 seconds or less. So don't write a thesis because they're not going to have time to read it, right? So clear, concise, accurate, of course. I like photos or some sort of color, graphics, whatever, to help kind of give it a little bit of pop so it kind of jumps off the page when they open up that email, okay? Next slide, please. And like I said, we can send you the template to help you get jump started on that process. Websites, we talked about that, and here's a kind of an example. And I'll let you read through all of the thumbnail on the left-hand side of the different components, very similar to what's in your capability statement, but on a web page, you have an ability to expand a little bit more, right? I like the fact that this one has, and you can see it circled in red, a specific pointer to government contracting. Boom. All right, I want to find out what these guys have when it comes to government contracting. And then you can see, some additional verbiage and explanation of what it is they do relating to government contracting, as well as a link to their capability statement, right? So, it's all right there, but it's easy to navigate. There again, this is who we are. This is how to get a hold of us. Boom, here's what we can do. And you've got the home page, which is about us. You've got a government contracting. Maybe you've got a private sector piece, whatever it is, depending upon what your business is all about. But easy to navigate. You want to make it easy for somebody to find out about who you are and what you do. Next slide, please. Here's another example, a little bit different. It's like, all right, let's talk about the agencies we've done business with. And oh, by the way, here are our primary NAICS codes. And we primarily contract through a GSA federal contracting schedule. Here's our schedule number. Boom, here's how to find us. These are the industry codes that we play in around it. Different approach, but still in very short order, you look at this and you go, okay, I know exactly what these folks do, and I know how to get a hold of them and find out more about what it is they do. So, okay, next slide, please. Marketing, we talked about that. Developing a marketing plan, figuring out through the local, through the public sector databases, which government agencies buy what it is you sell. I mentioned Federal Procurement Data Systems, fpds.gov. That's federal. With the state of California, if you go to the Cali Procure portal, the database is called Skippers, SCPRS. All previous state of California contracting activity is in the Skippers database. And that's how you figure out, all right, which agencies buy what it is you sell. And then it's a function of, okay, how do I establish relationships with them? Maybe it's through email marketing, but certainly you're going to want to look for events, in-person or virtual events where you can, work the room, if you will, and interact with purchasing and procurement and contracting folks. Again, look for events where prime contractors are going to be there, because as we mentioned, subcontracting is a good entree point. Prime example of that is Caltrans. Caltrans has Meet the Primes events around the state every year, all the time, right? As an example. But look for local events, look for maybe state agency events, and as well as if you identify government agencies, look for their government small business events as well, whether they're a virtual conference, an in-person national conference, a matchmaking type of event. You're going to want to look for all those kinds of things to establish those personal relationships, because that's absolutely key in the public sector space. Certainly, if there are training opportunities, what you want to do is figure out a way to get maximum exposure to the extent possible with these public sector folks that you want to sell to. LinkedIn is a great, social media. Make sure it's accurate and professional. Reaching out to the small business representatives for agencies, for prime contractors, for that sort of thing, as well as making sure your dynamic small business search profile is up to date and accurate, so that contracting folks can find you and understand what it is you do as well. Next slide, please. Ooh, I gotta move things along here, Amanda. Bidding opportunities, local agencies, we talked about getting registered. Reaching out to prime contractors, finding out what their forecast is. I mentioned Cali Procure and the Skippers database. Within sam.gov, if you go to contracting opportunities, you can see solicitations or source of sought notices that have been published there as well. Acquisition.gov. Getting involved locally with associations like the Builders Exchange, where you can find out, all right, what projects are coming up for bid locally. And as Amanda mentioned, our custom bid matching service as well. So the thing is, there's a lot of different avenues to find out what's on the radar, if you will, or what's in the pipeline of upcoming opportunities. And we here at the Apex can help you kind of navigate through a lot of that stuff, and help you further define which agencies you want to target. Next slide. Okay, in summary, I'm not going to read through all these bullet points. It kind of gives you an idea of all the things we've covered. It's not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of tenacity. You probably will not succeed initially, but try again. Along those lines, if you do submit a bid and you are not successful, ask for a debrief to gain some insight into, all right, what do I need to work on? What do I need to tighten up for my next bid? And so you get more and more knowledgeable about what it's going to take to prepare a successful bid. And it'll happen. But it does take some time. It's not an overnight type of thing. Okay. So next slide. All right. I think that's all I got, Amanda. I'll turn it back over to you.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that presentation. It's very easy to want to go into a lot of detail because it's also nuanced and there's so many different details that you can go into. So thank you everyone for joining us. And we did go a little bit late, so we want to be respectful of everybody's time. Thank you for staying a bit late with us if you could. So as we wrap up, I want to emphasize that we are truly here to support you and your business. We want to see you succeed. So if you are looking to get into government contracting, please connect with Norcal APEX Accelerator, or even if you're not in our service area, check out our website, check out our resources, connect with us however you can, and then get connected with your local center for that more in-depth assistance. And I do want to plug San Leandro. Thank you so much for joining us once again for this event. And they have an absolutely amazing event at this afternoon. They're doing their virtual access to capital panel, which I highly recommend you sign up for. That's going to be 2 to 3 p.m. today. And then we have some awesome events coming up as well. We'll be in San Francisco at the end of this month with the Department of General Services to give you the lowdown on how to do business with the state of California. And then we'll be meeting with over 5 federal agency representatives for a fantastic connection Q&A panel in June. So please do keep an eye out on our events, and please do sign up for San Leandro's final event for their Small Business Week celebration. It is sure to be a great panel.
Yep.
And so we do have a couple of questions, but I would like to respect everybody's time. So what I am thinking is we will take these questions offline and I'll send them to Paul. He'll get all the answers that we need, and we'll go ahead and send those answers and questions out to everyone who registered, as well as the slide deck with all of the resources and links, as well as the recording, in addition to resources and links from San Leandro, so that you can also connect with their chamber if you are in their area.
Perfect.
So with that, I appreciate everybody who has stayed with us and made it to the end. We appreciate all of your time this morning and really do hope that you got what you were looking for out of this presentation.
Yep.
If you did, please do let us know. We have a feedback survey that you will be redirected to once you leave the webinar. We'd love to know if you enjoyed the training, and we'd also love to know if you didn't. Both sides of feedback are immensely valuable, and truly we are doing this for you. So if we could be doing it better, we'll only know if you let us know. So if you do have a moment, please fill out that survey. We would greatly appreciate it. And again, thank you to all of my presenters today for your time and being here for our local businesses. And thank you to the audience for being with us this morning. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Oh,
Happy
you're
to be a part of this.
Of
Good.
course.
All right. Take care, everyone. Be safe. Be well.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.